All right. Good morning, everybody. Let's finish this Gemara, which we learned yesterday. I realized I hadn't posted it until this morning, so I posted it about an hour and a half ago. As I am recording this now, which you can see the time since I'm using the screen recorder. So we'll just go over the end of the last Talmud that we learned yesterday. Rebbe said, Nasi said, right? We say that Moses was punished. We know the story in Parsha Shmos in Exodus that Moses was almost died because of his negligence and his not even negligence, just again I'm trying to remember the word. I'm a little bit out of it. The word is I'll think of it later. That's what the word I'm trying to think. My brain is a little addled, I guess, I have Lyme disease. I just found out the other day. 2 days ago I found out. I'm getting treated for it. Hashem, I feel fine. It's called never mind. So I used the word yesterday. I figured it out at the end. Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't pushing it off. Again, I forgot the word. But rather, he had a halachic reason. He said you can't travel when you have the bris. Right? The third day is always the most painful day. Also, I can't do the bris and then sit here for 3 days because God told me to go back to Egypt. So why was Moses punished for the word is procrastinating? I don't know how I forgot that word. He wasn't procrastinating. He had a legitimate reason to not. And I'm not going to edit this. I'm just going to leave this how it is. Because we could say that Moses was punished for procrastinating. Rebbe says he wasn't procrastinating. He had a legitimate reason why he didn't make the bris. And yet, so let's see. Can we get to this? So now we're on the Gemara where we learned today's Talmud. So it said it's because he busied himself with the lodging in the hotel before he busied himself with the bris milah. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Omer Moshe Rabbeinu bikesh Satan lahareg el oisei tinoik. So then Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says that the Satan wasn't going to kill Moses; he was going to kill the baby. Shenemar ki chasan damim atali. It says you're a bridegroom of blood unto me. Tzerei mat nikorei chasen. Heavy oimer is who's called a groom at the bris? Not the father of the baby. The baby himself is called, he's the one celebrating the life cycle event. That's the baby himself. And then, so it was the baby whose life was in danger. Doresh Rebbe Yehuda Bar Pizna B'Shashtis Rashel Moshe Rabbeinu Min Amila Bo Afechema Uvalunu V'Vloish Shiru Mimenu Ela Raglav. So Yehuda Bar Pizna said that when Moses was procrastinating from doing the circumcision, again, even the Rebbe said he didn't procrastinate, but Yehuda Bar Pizna seems to hold he did. These two archetypes, anger and indignation. These angels that represent anger and indignation, two different angels, they came and swallowed him, and all that was sticking out was his feet. Meaning, I think it says later, something like a big snake, like a big python comes and swallows up a person. So when Zipporah saw this, that these two angels of punishment were swallowing up Moses, that Zipporah got up and she made the bris. She circumcised her son, and then immediately the anger went away from him, left him alone. Exodus chapter 4. So then, when Moses was rescued from these dangerous angels, he was going to kill them. He was going to kill the angels. Go away from the anger and abandon indignation. And some say that he actually killed this one angel that's called chema. It's called a type of anger, a hot anger. Shenamar chema ein li, as it says, there is no chema, there is no this burning anger to me. However, there's another scripture that seems to contradict this. Ki gorti mipnei ho'af ha'afa chema. It says, I was troubled because of the anger and the hot anger. So the answer is there were two angels of the hot anger, of the chema. Voice ema gunda the chema. I don't know what this word gunda. We'll see what the translation says. These are all different verses. Isaiah, Deuteronomy. It's the army of chema remained. Gunda means the army, but the angel chema himself was killed. Tanya. Another Bryce, Rebbe Yoimim Gedolim Milisha Eimach Mishnas Hasik Mitzvahs Kapim Avinu Leinikr Tomim Elal Shem Mila. Go back to quoting Rebbe. He says that how great is this mitzvah of Bris Milah? How great is the commandment, the precept of circumcision? That there was no one who was so careful and diligent in the performance of the commandments like our patriarch Abraham. And he was only called perfected because of the circumcision. It says, walk in front of me and be perfect. And also it's written, I will place my covenant between me and between you. Between you and me. Between me and you. Dover Acher. Another explanation. How great is the Bris Milah? Why is it so fundamental? Even someone who's not so religious, like to not give a Bris Milah is such a begida. It's wie soll ich sagen, also eines beugen, like I'm thinking like Benedict Arnold, I'm trying to remember the word in English, that he's a traitor. It's treachery. It's treacherous. It's traitorous to not give a Bris Milah to a child. That this weighs, it's equivalent to all the mitzvahs, all the commandments in the scripture. Amar Shenemar Ki Al Pi Hadvarim Le'Leh. It says, because according to these words, the Bracher, another explanation, and even greater, another explanation is that the mitzvah bris milah is so great that heaven and earth depend on it. You know, we hear a lot of people talk about tikkun olam, right? The real tikkun olam is not some left-wing garbage. Tikkun olam, when you make a bris milah, you're making tikkun olam, because you're fixing the world. Because the whole heaven and earth, all of creation, the whole universe, depends on this mitzvah of bris milah. Remember we quoted, that's from Jeremiah. Fliger Rabbi Eliezer, Damar of Eliezer, Gedolah Turish, L'malei Torah, in this kind of Shemai parts. Eliezer says that this represents the Torah as a whole. Because without the Torah, heaven and earth would not exist. That he understands this verse, the covenant in this verse to not be specifically the covenant of the bris milah, but the covenant of the Torah, which includes the bris milah, but the whole idea of learning Torah. Weiter, Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav Yehuda is the name of Rav. Shashamalei Kadosh Baruch Hu Avram Avinu His Halach Lefonei V'Yisamim L'Chazatu Ada. When God told Abraham, our patriarch, walk in front of me and you'll be perfected, he was seized with trepidation. He said, maybe there's something improper within me. But once God told him, because he wasn't afraid of bris milah, he was afraid that there's something wrong with him. But when he understood that God was offering him this covenant, then he was able to calm down. Right, let's finish this onward. So God took him outside, which I always, this is a vision. He took him out to see something, to see the stars and everything. This was a tremendous spiritual vision. Amar Lefana Rebbeinu Shalom. His Alti B'Masel Shali Bein Liel Bein Echad. So this was after, right? He had Ishmael, and Abram told God, I looked at my horoscope, and it says I'm only going to have one son. Amalek say v'yesta v'minus shelcha ein mazel Yisrael. So God told Abraham, get rid of your astrology. There is no influence of astrology on the Israelites. Meaning that when you're someone who keeps Torah and mitzvahs, you're taken out of that realm where most people are living underneath the realm of the influence of astrology, and you're brought to someplace much higher. Where Amar Rabbi Yitzchak Kol Tamim Atzmai Kadosh Baruch Hu Tamim Imai. Yitzchak says anyone who makes himself perfected, God, and meaning he goes in a straightforward path. He's not looking to go to ask a fortune teller or something. So God goes straightforward with him also. Verse says with the pious person God is generous. With the generous person God is generous, and with the strong person who is wholehearted, God acts wholeheartedly. 2 Samuel 22:26 of Rabbi Yeshaya. Yeshaya says, whoever is wholehearted, straightforward, the time stands with him. He's not looking to try to figure out the future. That's what it says, walk in front of me and be perfected. So and it says you'll be a father to abundance of many nations. Amar Rebbe says, Kol menachesh loy nachesh. Kol menachesh loy nachesh. Shemakil loy nachesh b'Yisrael v'hol b'lamed Aleph Siv El Mishum Mida Kneged Mida. So it says whoever goes after sorcery, he'll be attacked by that sorcery. That's what it says, because there is no sorcery in Israel. We read last week's Parsha, that was one of the visions that Bilam had, and it's written that there is none, but rather it's measure for measure. If you stay away from sorcery, you'll be okay. If you go after it, it'll attack you. Tane, Ahava Bray the Rebbe Zera. Ahava the Rebbe Zera taught the following: Kol Adam she'ein menachesh machnis noisa b'chitza shefil malachi yesharis einechem b'kanes. Says anyone who doesn't go after sorcery, he is brought into a special place where even the angels, the ministering angels, are not allowed to go into that room. It says there is no sorcery in Jacob and no witchcraft in Israel. Why was Abraham, our patriarch, punished that his children should be enslaved for 210 years? It says he was punished because he took Torah scholars into the army. So we see with the Zionists, their evil of trying to draft the B'nai Torah. It's the same evil that brought us into Egypt. He says because he examined very much the character of God. Meaning, he said he questioned God too much. He said, "How will I know I will inherit this land?" Is that he prevented people from converting to Judaism meaning he could have brought the king said, "Give me the people and you take the goods," and Abraham said he wasn't taking the goods. If he didn't listen to Sodom, the king of Sodom, he would have had the people stay with him. He could have converted them. So since he didn't convert those people, he was punished. It says that he led the people forth, Genesis 14:14. One is that he showered them with Torah, another one is that he showered them with gold. Ami bar Abba Eliezer Kunig and Kulam Ikam Madame Eliezer Kushbane Hachi Have. This is 318 men who went to war. That was Eliezer. Eliezer's name is 318. It's in Gematria. Ami bar Abba. Alright, so this is already, we're done with the thing about the Bris Milah. So thank you for watching. God bless you. Like, share, subscribe. If you see more about the Bris Milah, we'll talk later. How do I turn this off? I'll finish myself.